Tamba.
Tasidele Rinpoche.
That you call a box that you go. Shoot the Kagyu.
Grass Valley, the you.
Big Sola.
Me. Grass Valley. Grass Valley.
All a soul. Any Tamala. Shopa delay. Adesaneni. Someday. Tashi delay. Good morning, everyone from California. The train got to tune there. And in Yami Tapun Zebe. And the Lamchor Chintua. That they meant to the march today. That is in Rocky. Any day, Mason Hona. And in Aki in Bayinayang. Dojin Chang, Delo, Naro, Mapa, Mela, Gampopa. Any invasion to the Silama, Zavalama, the Jubalama, so what talking, any chin and Bejang to the Sine, Sondem Nano cheese.
So we'll be continuing with our instructions on the Precious Garland of the Supreme Path by the incomparable Gampopa. But before we begin, I'm going to make requests to the root and lineage gurus, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Gampopa, and on down through to my root guru, and you please do the same.
The Simsaji Dam Jijingo, Eridan Jikurjam Chapda, Cutting Somba Mi Be Pangun, the Chilama Tambe Ship, Turma Mi Bala, over of the Equipesan, Sashin, Jason Jo, Jason Jala Baranze. Namda Tsutumza Mesajela, Tenzin Bamirong, Benzi, Shiram Yedan, Jugonsa, Tumjo Dongon de Bekele, Nidao Chimbe Baya Limande, Lord Chimbe Jugun Denise, Tupa Chimbe Chumder Jeande, Loza Chimbe Shabla Sorwa, Nimde Chimbe, Kodazene, Kapje Chimbe Lamani Paranze. Sundu Jimbe Trebejan Sinze, Areba Jimbe Shabla Sorwa, and Tiba Jimbe and Joyon Sose, Saja Jimbe to Bang on the Juror, Tele Jimbo, Kadar Yambaradar, Nikum Jimbe Shabla Soa, and Shizan Kalanchira, Jingology, Zebe Donder Zalena, Jarvete Bakune Sanzeba, Kajurumbo Chilang Gusa. Dojin Chaware Conchab Dalama Kanma by Jekura Conje Jung Esia Bamjari Danam Jorma, Tele Conje Sipo Wanjer Chijong Bejin Jamdala, Namjosi Jekupin to Donami Tuchi Jongwa. Jara Conje Shiga, Jede Bakani Dakarawa, and Pajun Jetiwa so Dubek, Kamsum Dovala Manangusa. Dinzava Lamarum Bochi, Adakaji or Bemedi Yola, cutting Chimbi Goni, Chizong Te, Kosong, Jung Zad, Yode Sanje Kundanyam Naya, cutting Sanje Kue Labango, Zavala Meshabla Suande, Dazudovelona Jus. That's what you don't get denied. The Chilomara Jabakan so that the Bechu Jenjame, Simran de Batam Jindershi. Namo Ayatambala Egetan Lotan Jinke, Dunda Mekinam da, Dua Kunjaki Jazamba, Jake de Dake Chuti. Majundwa Nankan Tadanya Besimjin Tamji, Sijadohan Tadale Darte, number Tinjadeva Lana Meba, Yandaba Zoba Sanji Joko, Barumbochi, Jenejan Kobarsha. Ade Chido Tambechu Samodini, Tsujin the Sine, Nyamsa Lambergio, Nyambagone, Sinchar.
O benevolent root guru, who is in essence all Buddhas of the past, present, and future, with great devotion I prostrate to you and go for refuge to you with my body, speech, and mind. Please grant your blessings to be cared for by you inseparably in this lifetime and all of my future lives. Clean ground of pure ethical discipline, beautified by mountains of unfathomable samadhi, illuminating all things with wisdom light of the sun and moon, Supreme Buddha who accomplishes the welfare of all, please bestow virtue and goodness. Your mandala expanding throughout space and knowledge of all things, beautiful thousand-fold light striking the lands of trainees, fully illuminating all of Buddha's teachings in their entirety. With devotion I prostrate to the great jewel of the Kagyu. O glorious and precious root guru, please take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me in your great kindness. Please grant attainments of body, speech, and mind, equal to all Buddhas in qualities of realization, yet surpassing all Buddhas in kindness to me. I pray at the feet of my root guru, O protector, please turn the minds of myself and all beings towards the Dharma. All you who have become disciples of the Sugātas, those gone to bliss throughout the billions of worlds of the 10 directions, all of you who wish to hear the Dharma raining down here and now, may you come here. Namo, in languages of devas, nagas, and yakshas, languages of kumbhandas and human beings, in the sounds of whatever beings exist, in every language I shall teach the Dharma. Please listen well with the motivation of bodhicitta, thinking all mother sentient beings, equal to the extent of space, must by all means attain unexcelled eternal bliss of perfect, complete Buddhahood. To accomplish this, I shall listen carefully, without distraction, to the Mahayana teachings being given here and put them into practice.
Hola. Adela Kanshi Simbrasawe Chude, that Renga Kapsa Papa, and Yami Taku, Zegajukani, Lamchorin Chin Chawasita, one, Tanekita, Marang Chula, Landor, Ne, Sinja Malo Partin, the Danga, the young Danga, the Nijang, the Chena, the Mazi, the Chi Sone, any part of Pipe, Belanawana, the Danga. Or the riches in the Rembe, in the Jutsin, Martin. Jutsin, Martin, the watch, or the Lissy Yalikata. Shepherd the medicine marketing to each other.
So continuing on with the instructions on the Precious Garland of the Supreme Path by Gampopa. These are instructions that let us know how to act in accordance with the natural law of cause and effect, what to adopt and what to abandon, and in a very personal way, from a father to a son or a parent to a child. Gampopa gives this advice to us in sets of 10 and similar numbers of items. Do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. So it's a very intimate kind of instruction to disciples as to how to act and what to abandon.
Or the day to any Maranju Tame, that the Lichik Tambichu, Tibase, Sambase, and a Gombasi Julicata, Kokab Zambon, Richi Watina, and Samakan, Gapro, Hacha Gapro Padme Pachi, the Nangoris.
And as such, we should really be rejoicing greatly to have this opportunity to listen and study these teachings, contemplate them, and meditate on them. So please do cultivate that state of mind.
At the day to Tane, you tongue at you, Shusia there, Haja Zachimo, 하자게 침보지르이자 지르추시야 돼 락바드 들렸던 바이나 드랍 니셔 짝지 봐 니망아도 튼들라 아니 담배 추시야 돼 문에 타네 배 맛이 짜침보지 어리되지 하시.
So in general, Dharma is something that is extremely precious and valuable. And I think for the times in which we live, this current century, it's especially important. The Dharma is something that's especially indispensable to us in these times.
뭐망보지 좀씩 간이시나 또 말랑준 로아 몇 참아 로아 뭐다 마스에 봐 코랑 소차 던도다 타나 로버트 순치에게 아니 또다 진력은 그 촉도는 신로대야다 나그게 시에는 직시대야다 생크상로 당는 룡아이 선데 신의 년당 친드는 직시대야돼 가르치듯이 지금 요리시도 자네 네 참에 대완돼 봐다 네 동할만 돼 봐. 다 대화대 가르치듯 탑시지도 쌌네. 네 동할대 살리 탑시. 다 뒤치도 르큰 군주 당 아그게 자시 생크상로 당네. 어디 치대게 요리시.
So all living beings, not only human beings, but animals, even down to insects and bugs. Why do we move? Why do we speak? Why do we think? Every movement of the body and utterance of the voice and thought of the mind is always aspiring for happiness, wanting happiness. Every movement, every utterance, every thought is for that purpose of wanting to dispel suffering and pain, and it's all has this kind of impetus behind it.
네두자네 다티 대화텔라 누즈 대화텔라 다 대화 남바 망보지. 이두자네 다 망보지게 아니 내갑장 그 대화. 다 가르치 내갑 그 대화시야 될라. 같이 대화 탈도 바데 산지kin 저러 동아리 송거 요리 대 동아리 있으랑. 동아 그 토라 가소세네. 가상 동아 동아 침보 진용나 동아지 용 트레인 저러 동아 때라 저러 소와 인데잖아. 때 대화 탈도 바이 사바세네. 아니 망보지게 아니 유브르 동아 때 아니 대화 탈도 되는 거지세 단난 그 대화지 되는 예. 된다는 거 요리시.
But that happiness that we seek, for the most part, it's happiness that Buddha explains is actually suffering of change. That we were undergoing a more severe experience of pain and suffering, and when that lightens up a little bit, we experience it as relief, as happiness. But Buddha points out that it's not actually pure happiness, it's a kind of suffering, of change.
어디디 인도자네 다 나랑수 추바지게 남바지게 문에 시와 있나 대 대화 잠그 맞춤네 대 대화 때 내가 그 대화리야 탈독 대화 때 아니 진실한 트에는 전로고도 전로리 값을 가와는 주고 이르시도 동할은 전로고 요리 중심이 때 하고네 다티 대wan 탈독 받에 가와는도 시상로 땅 대wan 탈독 받에 아니 담배 추글라네 짠네 아니 나랑 시럽 힘비나네 때야당 같은 같에 빠랑 같에 빠라상 같에 못디소 하세야 디 막색게 될은 튼델리시네 담보 초람세 와드 졸람세 아니 타마 곰람세 초람 졸람 아니 토람세 곰람세 몰업람세네 초람 졸람 토람 곰람 몰업람 나때 때야당 같은 같에 빠랑 같에 빠라상 같에 못디소 하세야 디라 레베진의 잔네 아니 생각토니 냠린시는 로야 디기 주네 아니 대화니 인주텔라 아니 문에 그 남자 띵지 대화 밀러 대화 어떤지 지송 거 요리시.
So as Buddhist practitioners, we should cultivate the perspective that this type of suffering, of change, is not true happiness. It's not lasting happiness. And to understand that it's going to change. And change into what? Change into suffering. So as a practitioner of Dharma, we become interested in where we can find ultimate happiness. As exemplified in the mantra of the Heart Sutra, Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisoha, to pass through the 5 paths on the way to enlightenment, the path of accumulation, preparation, path of seeing, path of meditation, and the path of no more training. And in this way, developing our mind and the causes of happiness that way, to cultivate causes of ultimate happiness. So if we ask ourselves, would that really be possible for me? Could I attain such an ultimate happiness? And it's 100% sure, yes, that we can attain such happiness.
Rang sosu ju la simchin tham che ju la ani chuka dewar shi bu nim bo de yu ba ani te duzi ke nyu mom ba de lower wa yi ba lower wa le ma to korang chuka de yin ji bu nim bo de la ani nyu mom be drip chan ne korang ye ne kora da ju me li sang ye ji me li cha de na ngarang so lam lam be so sia de gu ba me ba cha no ko wa ngarang so la rewa chi yu wa hop second wa yu wa de kala rewa chi ki yori si de tani ye chuk dewa chup nimbo rang sim la yo ba de la ne ka ko nyumong ko gule ma to khorang ke sim ko ngo de la nyumong ko zawa ni ko yo ma ri ta to la ani de ni du ta ne so su lang ko be nyam sa lang wa yi na nam ye ani ham sa la ma to ba ani lam ti ke to la de be de to ko yo ri si what is so.
And the reason for that is that we and all living beings have Buddha nature. We have that potential within us. And the obstacles to that, the obscurations in our mind, the delusions in our mind, these are adventitious. They're temporary and can be removed. Whereas that true nature of our mind, our Buddha nature, has never been defiled by anything, is there in its full purity, ready to be manifested and discovered. And so this is our goal, to remove the temporary delusions and obscurations and realize our true nature. So there is every possibility, every certainty that we could realize this. One day we will realize it. So that'll be our preliminary contemplation for this morning. We'll go into now the main teaching.
Hola, so that ring not to chuchin de. That chuchin ye should sub ye bar. Chuchin ye should sub ye bar. De che, de la yang, che bar them papa chu jersey. Oh, de la tuya.
So we come to the 24th set of items in this instruction. These are the 10 superior things, or the 10 especially exalted things.
Tambo, Ruk Simji Jiniban Nane, Tanjor Dangdimbe, Melune Jik Chebardam Pa, Mela Chumi Jiniban Nane, Shudenje Kanza Jik Chebardam Pa, 람제 특바 진입은 나네 님비 된제 특바인데 제발도 봐 투삼내 쇼의 시랍 진입아왜 몸성기 시랍 끼지마 제발도 봐 누세지기와 진이지기바왜 누마세지기와 끼지마 제발도 봐 미끼지 땡인지 진이지 공바왜 미미지 땡인지 끼지마 제발도 봐 사체지기와 진이지기바왜 사미지기와 제발도 봐 유라 냠녀 진이지기바왜 또바 끼지 샤와 제발도 봐 치드세 bel게 진이지기바왜 치드사와 메베 주바 끼지도 제발도 봐 산생게 돈지 진이지 세바왜 뭐뭐 지어마송아 제발도 봐 대내 제발도 봐보 주저이노
One human body endowed with freedoms and resources is superior to all other sentient beings of the six types. One person endowed with Dharma is superior to all ordinary people lacking Dharma. This vehicle of the essential meaning is superior to the paths of all other vehicles. One instant of knowledge arising from meditation is superior to all knowledge arising from hearing and reflection. One instant of non-composite virtue is superior to all the composite virtues that there are. One instant of non-conceptual samadhi is superior to all the conceptual samadhis that there are. One instant of undefiled virtue is superior to all the defiled virtues that there are. The arising of one instant of realization is superior to all the experiences that arise in one's mind. One instant of unself-conscious conduct is superior to all the self-conscious virtuous conduct that there is. Being without fixation on anything whatsoever is superior to all the material generosity that there is. Those are the 10 superior things.
라소 나디게 교가 나한테니 말아 교대게 당본이 반에를 매신다 당본이 쥐 받도 요한테 잡종게 송고와 그 중심등에 넣어두지 마시오.
So I'm going to explain a little bit about the motive, the impetus behind this teachings, that of protection.
protection 생각하래.
그냥 숨겨 숨배.
말다 나 주한테
어건다.
내 송골이 그 중심지 열어와.
로스.
이 감보바가 가르치듯 대 송고 요리세야. 디 잡종근에 first to 10, I want to explain a little bit why Gampopa he said this here.
I want to give some background.
The backgrounds, yes.
To what Gampopa is saying here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my English, my language is the Kampa, David Molk. You know. The gate that sung job si the song go as the Chinese sung job.
Young, like Gabshon did some.
Lao. That this song walk Jumtin de Gampopa, Karchit and the song Yuri. Sedutane. Tadi Jabjonging at sound of Tangwaina. Namja Junde, Lug Gewatang, Hag Gewatang, Hiji Gewasi. Giwa Yonsu to Patama, the Lung, I song Tony.
Now, in terms of virtues, actions that create causes for happiness, they come in the three types, of body, speech, and mind. Actions of body or speech or of mind.
Tella Luju Gewatang, Agagewa Ide, Sake Gewasi. And a young mana do Zeg Gewasi. Tanang Gewasi. Do Zeg Gewa, Sake Gewa, Nekap Gewasi, Yamana, Tanang Gewasi. The Richi Lasiki, Tan Tartok Gewa the Mari security. That same Tony you Gewate. Same Tony Gewa on you didn't Dumasik Gewa. Samik Gewa, Tartog Gewa. Chagyoris. The Indian Dutane Sink Gewa Teleyan Rogoina, Karik ya Tigri, Sitan Lutangani the Mena, Sink Gewa Tola, Titugumaris, Tamboni in the Material Churanka Gom Job, Zoki Gom, Sakin Gomsina, Gom Shigamarawa, Tambo Luch the Trip Jang, Hag the Trip Jang. 가장의 공리 지슈인 사서 예단이 침복 메라프 메라프야데 단항라 메라프야데 르지 게와리 사키게 게와리데 되게 가르팅의 야티로 그 요리 시르자니 대메나 사미게 게와 생고 똑바도 줄을 찍어요 말 예단이 침볼라야 원마 따와데 똑바도 줄 속지에 시르자니 소사 득장세네 르지 게와 디까딘라 띠네 아니 사미게 게와 이게 요리 생고 게와 토베이시 다 디코르데 하고
So actions are virtues. Virtues of body and speech are composite virtues. They're relative or conventional virtues. They're also imitation virtues. Whereas virtue that's created in the mind can be uncompounded virtue. Again, the virtues of body and speech, defiled virtues, whereas those created in the mind can be undefiled virtues and ultimate virtues. And yet, without those virtues of body and speech, there's no way to reach those uncontaminated, uncompounded, ultimate virtues of the mind. That's their purpose, is to lead into such virtues. As exemplified in the account I mentioned of Tsongkhapa, doing incredible practices of purification and accumulation, making mandalas, with such intensity, in order to realize that middle way view, the actual nature of reality. Without those practices, he wouldn't have been able to develop those pure virtues of the mind, those ultimate virtues of the mind.
배나 사자침보다 조바침보시 며칠에 내 담보발라 기자시거나 사자침도 따와줄래 제 조바침도 따와줄래 제거요나 담보 초사 드바장의 류당 아니든 뭐도 마성와이나 내라오진의 용건만 와시.
So to develop these insights, perspectives, the realizations of great perfection, Dzogchen and Mahamudra, it requires this kind of the actions of body and speech to purify ourselves and to create the positive energy, the merit necessary for developing those realizations.
탑그차단 시랍그차시는 이시기요. 탑그차데 르당 아니게 사야리게 자와. 비스골라 탑지차 소나그차. 시랍그차 이시기차세야 돼. 아니 동반이당 산적그 생다 생고 돈이 사야리게와. 될래세기요. 근데 자네 데 니데 사지를 쇼바 니요와 나지. 사지 남팔은 불고는 쇼바 니면은 퍼트고 말아와. 쇼바 지금 퍼트고 말아와. 근데 인도 자네 쇼바 니요와 나지. 사지게 개와당 사미게 개와 니차되고. That's no tambotisuna.
So with actions of the body and speech, we can create merit, positive energy on the side of skillful means and methods. And on the other side of wisdom, we develop insight into the middle way, into the true nature of reality. And both of these are needed. Just like a bird needs two wings to fly through the sky, we need the branch of the contaminated virtues, the compounded virtues of body and speech to accumulate the merit, and then the uncontaminated accumulation of wisdom to develop that factor.
라서 언니들의 시에 다른 배신의 책들을 만들듯 르독 심지 진입은 나네. 르독 심지 진입은 나네. 단조르당 딘바 밀리직 치바른 파지. 다 내가랑 좀 매일 딘데 치바른 파추 ngomanga chu tabu tarjinani mambo chi yogodowa ngomate she tsayurita de tane de la rebeji de mambo shema kwachi ruk simchi ruk jing simchi nyawa yeda dundro ani lami la soba ani la soba ka nani ani mai lutin de cheban bakari jumsi kain sina mai lutin teke semgo tokyu chebar de papa yi semgo namchu de chebar de papa yi lutin chebar de papa lu chebar de papa la ani lu chebar de papa la tamjo chobje de bamelu sim chebar de papa la deba namba sum dama deba yishi deba ani medoba deba namba sum de ranjin ki yong yori o de de zan de chebar de papa isong.
So one human body, endowed with freedoms and resources, is superior to all other sentient beings of the six types. We looked at this in a lot of detail in the precious jewel ornament of liberation teachings, so we don't need to go into great detail now. But these, the six types of beings in the hells, preta or spirit realms, animal realm, human realm, demigods or asuras, and the gods or devas, that out of all of these six types of life forms, that the human life, and particularly that precious human life, is especially exalted. And this precious life, the precious human life, has those 18 factors of freedoms and endowments in the life, in the body, and in the mind. Then there's the three types of faith, of clear faith, of convinced faith, and irreversible faith. So these qualities of freedom and endowments of the body and the faith of the mind makes the precious human life especially exalted over any other life form.
Laso ani niba de mana chuni chumi jini pendane chudenje kansa chik chebaran phasi ta de mana chumi jini pendane sonere ta mana seya de ke khowalan chamdeli lamdu chula lokha mayoba nimchi tudok de samjulang khowale meba drubjele dongale meba de chilani mana ba mana seya de 제당 소수 지워 아니 담배 출라 로카 마요와 근데 지라 송거 요리 만나 주니베 같이 망보 요나야 디나미시 휴딘지 강사 직체반을 바꿔요 만나 취미 근데 자동 원래 장 휴다 딘버 강사 직 아니 제반을 바꿔요 이소 다 디나니 남장 거 돈이 시에가도와 장 마녀가 깨자 말이 강사 때 그 부채 약속.
Okay, so now in one person endowed with Dharma superior to all ordinary people lacking Dharma was being translated as ordinary people here, literally in Tibetan, min nak, which would mean bad people. But what
Bad people, black people.
Yeah, Rinpoche,
Napo.
that's Kali Kaparawa, Rinpoche.
Yeah. Okay, David.
And so what does this actually mean? What is it actually referring to? It's actually referring to beings who are caught in samsara, whose every action of body, speech, and mind is deluded and obscured, and every aspiration is for things in samsara, and every action in effect then creates the causes for suffering, for more suffering. So being without Dharma. So even if there was hundreds or thousands of such people, if there was one person who had the Dharma, who was endowed with Dharma, they would be especially exalted over no matter how many other people there are.
No. Any shooting Kazaji Chepa and Pa say that Jimsi Karatani Shaka Yuri Siditani. Marang to choose at the Tamboti Jabjong to someone Hokodoa. Choose at the 슈바지이나 메제 잠보인베 차고요다 하고소에 슈바지이나 메잠보인베 차고요리
So if somebody is a Dharma practitioner, there's a provision that they must be a good person.
근데 전에 디나네 쳇바던 파세야 되게 아니 나랑주 휴대게 몇 주주 당도 거요 휴대 주주 당지리 몇 주주 당자 휴대 님보리 몇 그 주고 님몽도 빠자 왜 디나 이세인데 휴대 매나 몇 주주 당토고요 말에 휴대 간사대 그 주념이 세대바이나 간사대 그 로데 내 공도 시바나지 아니 나랑주 인지가 토네 good better best teatang gating gate para gati se ya ta di lamni ya thi lo ko yo yumchi telati ne ni che pa ta phas o te ko ko do
And why would a person with Dharma be especially exalted? Well, because the whole purpose of Dharma is to bring about transformation, positive transformation to a person. And what is to be purified? Those delusions, negative kinds of factors in a person's being. And so, through the practice of Dharma, in graded stages, again, as exemplified in the Heart Sutra mantra, Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisoha, that by practicing Dharma, this will bring improvement to the person. And this is why a person that has Dharma will be exalted over other beings that lack Dharma.
so lamje tikpa jinnibe nan nimbe dwenje tikpa che baran phas da je dang ge thoni lamje tikpa sia dan de nani ni tu wa dang ani sanju sumba dang ani ngarang chu nambu chu ge nani 데라와다 마하야나 시시게요라 딱 특바 같이 요나야 되게 나니 님부 된세야 돼 상하 도지 특바라 시고 상하 도지 특바 님부 된지 특바데 아니 치바르던 파기
This vehicle of the essential meaning is superior to the paths of all other vehicles. So vehicles it refers to the Theravadan and Bodhisattva vehicle, or the Hinayana and Mahayana vehicles. And out of all of these vehicles, what's referred to as the essential meaning here is the Vajrayana, that ornament of the Mahayana. So out of all the vehicles, the path of the Tantras, Buddha Dharma Tantra teachings are superior to all.
that is golden to shima shima was any jiba de no to some listen way shirap jiniba way gonsong shirap keje ma chebadan pass.
So without saying much more about that at the moment, going on, one instant of knowledge arising from meditation is superior to all knowledge arising from hearing and reflection.
Andi nani shirap la shirap namba sum 제당나 시랍 시야들 시랍 만다와 마보요 다 쪼데 투발에 숨어 시랍 삼발에 숨어 시랍 곰발에 숨어 시랍 투삼 곰숨레 숨어 시랍 남바 만다와 숨 생고 돌아 용어요 데이도 전에 디나니 투바당 삼발에 숨어 고 시랍 델레짱 아니 곰고 토니 시랍제 도바줄레 지와이나 아니 대체바다 바뀌는 순거요.
So there are many kinds of wisdom. Going on to the this one instant of let's see. We read that. So there are many types of wisdom, but one way they can be categorized is into the three types of wisdom: wisdom arisen from hearing, wisdom arisen from contemplation, and wisdom arisen from meditation. And so compared to wisdom that arises from hearing the teachings and thinking about them, the wisdom that we develop through meditating on them will be especially exalted over those first two types.
아니 ngabade게 두제지게와 지니지게바we 두마세지게와 끼지마 제바르던 파
Next, one instant of non-composite virtue is superior to all the composite virtues that there are.
간 두세지 개와서야 돼. 두세지 개와서야 돼. 사키게 개와서. 티 개와서 가와는 연구 요리 시도잖아. 공동의 휴바. 르당 아니게 돈이 연구 요리. 르당 아니게 돈이 쪼발해서 와. 배sol에서 와. 근데 지게 돈이 소와들라. 아니 두세지 개와서. 아니 두마세지 개와서야 돼. 생고 돈이 이거들라. 두마세시나 문저와 미식와 어떤지 인도자네 대가와는 연구 요리 시도자네 생고톤의 영화들이 생고톤의 영화들라양 만다와 망보 인도자네 생고톤의 영화들라 아니 산초고 생다 남이가 따와니 또바줄의 지영화이나 아니 된데 마세가 개와리 아니 대치받은 바그 요리에서 말이
So what is the composite virtues or compounded virtues? It's as I mentioned before. It's those virtues that are created through the body and the speech, contaminated virtues, whereas uncompounded, those are the compounded virtues or composite virtues. Non-composite virtue or uncompounded virtue would be virtue that's created in the mind. So here that uncompounded means that this is virtue that is eternal, that it's unchanging, it's indestructible. So this kind of virtue can be created in the mind.
생고톤의 양 대자 망보여라 대 다시 막 야슈드 가레리 시드자네 드마세가 개와데 남이가 따와다 산초가 셈이 또바줄에 지와이나 아니 대리 있어고요.
And so in particular the realizations of bodhicitta and insight into selflessness, these are those uncompounded virtues that can be created with the mind.
제당 두제지 개와데라 띠네 드마세가 개와 줄에 지고요. 내 공도시바 나시를 룡하게 개와라 띠네 생고 또바줄에 지 룡하게 삽장 초사 드장 라소바 제tam세바 뒤축 드답다 드답다과 되게 아니 소시줄로 또바지야라 아니 레라오 조바 또바줄은 조바지야 어떻게 요거 유디자네 나 지민의 지문 용화 두세지 개와데 매와이나 드마세가 또바데 줄은 맞지와 배나 깨지 담보다도 매지 토칼은 로고와이나 깨템 담보는 맞지나 깨템이바 깨템 담보데 깨템이바를 핀비치다 깨템이바데 깨템 순발을 핀비치다 깨템 순바데 깨템 이바를 핀비치다 그런 르야와 대인도 전에 배디나이 두세지 개와자와데 깨템 담보나이인데 깨템이바 아니 드마세지 개와라 야주 야저치다 jor치다 졸람세도와 졸람 졸람세야 되는 거고요.
And as I mentioned before, that the compounded virtues are indispensable for developing the uncompounded virtues. That without them, there would be no possibility of developing the non-compounded virtues. Just like taking steps of a staircase, you step on that first step in order to get to the second step, and the second step in order to get to the third step, and so on. So each step joins us with the next step. Rinpoche referred to the name of the path of preparation, which joins an ordinary person with the path of seeing, conjoins. So each step that we take, then that gets us to, it joins up with the next step. It meets the next step.
라소 아니 되게 좋아지시. 다데서 걸 파치 나온 데리자. 나봐 좋아. 된바 데서 거데 나 좀숨데 참아 맹마다와리 마도 된 참아 지관다 지차자.
So there's fourth and fifth and sixth points here. Although the words are different, the meanings are are very similar.
미케지 등인지 지니 곰바웨 미미지게 등인지 깨지마지 치바던 파시.
So an instant of non-conceptual samadhi is superior to all the conceptual samadhis that there are.
미케지 등인지 시야된 것은 라곰니 값이. 베나 담봉아랑주 예당 라는 뜻이 곰드 값이. ngaran ke te da te taw la pene jipsin drama da chena mikpa da chi ba se ke mik ke se ya de ke o te ta te taw chin dun je nang khala yu sam ba sin mikpa la tin ne ani mik ke chi tin se ke.
So we could also translate this as samadhi with object or without object. Might be another accurate way of translating this. So the meditation with object would be, for instance, if we are going to meditate on a deity, we're visualizing the form of a Buddha before us, and thinking, I look like that, or this is the image that I want to get. So we have this object in our mind that we're focusing on in the meditation.
Laso mik ke se ya de mimi se ya de mimi se ya de sin ko zodro ma se wa sin ke detan de taw yu sam ba de yang nin jin ko to ba cha ge yo wa detan de taw chin de ina de mina de zang na de ngi na sam ba de yang nin jin ko to ba jin ro ko do wa la de da yu sam ba de de yin de za ne ko sum di mi ko to be ji sim be to ni gomba po kan sa ra ni ja me me pa gom ju la de ni ja me me pa ani gong khin ke sim de ni ja me me pa da ge rang na ni nyam ja se ne gom ya de la ta de se ke yuri mimi ki de.
Whereas the non-conceptual samadhi, or the samadhi without object here, would refer to a non-dual meditation. Duality is that kind of attitude that divides things into subject and object, says, oh, this is that, and so on. And the meditation without object would be one in which one realizes the absence of inherent existence of the very active meditating, that the one who, there's no one meditating, no active meditating, nothing that is meditated upon, that the three spheres of the agent, action, and object of the meditation itself are empty, absent. So this would be the non-dual meditation of a non-objectified, or meditation without object.
Oda teyang tata kodo shiba nanji me ke ji tingen jin de tambo me na korsam ma to pak me mi ki tingen jin ji le lao ji yong ko ma ra wa me mi ki tingen jin de to pa ju le che che de korsam de be ma de me mi ki tingen jin de to pa ju le che de ne me ke ji tingen jin de song le si korang ni tu sa tu jo le she na me ke ji tingen jin de 델레짱 미미지 등엔지 체바도 파송고 요르데 람 로당거 토니 세와이나 미케지 등엔지 메나 미미지 등엔지 또 탐메와 차도 요르시 어디서 거 요르.
And again, the first step is indispensable to the second step. We may say that the meditation without object is superior, or especially exalted over meditations with objects, but in terms of the path and the actual progression, without the previous meditations with object, we wouldn't be able to get to a meditation without object, which understands that there is no one meditating on anything.
라소 삼발라 아니 다 사케지 개와 진이지 개바베 사메지 개와 깨지지 개바다 파세야 듬바대당 강경 응아바데니 누제 세야다 사케 세야데 에다기 타니 망보지 베조 땅이바 다데 지과차야 지과차 직장에 고 매일 만다와지 리마도 된 지과래야.
In one instant of undefiled virtue is superior to all the defiled virtues that there are. So here we're using that term of undefiled undefiled, but I've already explained, that the defiled refers to those virtues of body and speech, the ones that are compounded, and so on. Whereas undefiled refers to those virtues of the mind that I've been mentioning. So there are different terms here, but referring to the same thing again.
The number 5 and the number 7 is very similar. Only the verbs they say. The number 5 they say duje. The number 7 sakye. They all same. See, gewachini chichibale sakye sami. Tate sakye tang duje tang sami tang tate chibar medokela.
So again, in the 5th one, that mention of the word non-composite, and in the 7th, the word undefiled. These are and so on. These are referring to the same pairs of things.
You want a coffee, Samba? You have a coffee?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay.
Tochina.
I share with you here. Coffee. Chochawa coffee, hot water coffee. Okay.
Kian tulo de zapos yabotu.
He said my dagan is very. Oh, sorry. Okay. It's very cold here, Samba. That they get into the yate. Kondu shiba nanji sakye jigewa seate. Yang sakye seduchane duzeke gewa. Yagitila yajadu. De kawani yungu yuri seduchane. Luta ngani ke thoni yungu yuri. Luga thoni san sawata. Ngaga koni kandu shia la soba yungu yuri. De karichi de yungu yuri seduchane. Le tambo pa induchane. Tambo luka ngani ke gewa tela. Sami ke gewa teke. Chi sintu ke yumari. Nguni shona. Tambo luka ngani ke gewa ngo chuli kapsani. Sami ke gewa sem teke. Ini chi simbersene. Luka goni sajin charchali kapsa. Telang korson matoba ke jeje tap. Ndesi sewa ina sami ke chi sinswa. Ngaga goni ngaji nimbaji tang. Nimbaji tang chali kapsa yang korson matoba ke jeje tap. Chi simsona. Any tapa shirap sungdun yuk seya de tambo yung du kani sim ke chi simdo kodowa. Ta le tambo pala te kale kaporowa. Oti korsungu yuri.
So again, the compounded or composite virtue and defiled virtue are referring to the virtues of body and speech, and those are practiced as a way of reaching the undefiled virtues, the uncompounded virtues of the mind. Say, an action of prostration with the body, for instance, is practiced to gather relative or conventional virtue, but by contemplating the absence of the 3 spheres of the action, how there's no one prostrating, no one making a prostration, no active prostrating, nothing prostrated to, understanding these absence of the 3 spheres of the action, then these composite or contaminated virtues can then set the stage or lead into the uncompounded and undefiled virtues of the mind in this way.
Jibadela. Yule nyamnyung jinichi jibawe. Toba kichi chawa chibada paas.
The arising of one instant of realization is superior to all the experiences that arise in one's mind.
Tadeke nyam seya deta toba seya de sungu yuri. Dinani yule nyamnyung seya deke nyam seya de kareri situ chane shine gom ni kaps. Le tambo bakende shine gom dodu. Oh, ta semnanda mandani semla gawa, semla dewa, any semla sawa, any semla madoba, de sar madoba nyam doba de. Sometimes any shineke nupala tine, 신에게 용딩되게 니 저런 그 수부 발랑라를 자대와 나지 벌수와 나지 삼상라 삼상라 양 신에게 니바가 저런 운시라서 하고니 어디 디스코르 때 똑바 말해 냠리 신에게 냠이고 요리지 디 유래 냠용시 따디 냠데 가래리 시디잖아 양 똑바디 찌리 따라 코랑 냠데 요고 빼나 매지 그거요나 담보 도와지 렘디잖아 더 따라 뛰네 매 뽑기요라 매 용건도 다시 좀지 간이스는 도와 surkundu waasi. Nyamde kate chir sungna ya, ane tokpa de chijini chega yore isi. Ta kanta che nyamda tokpa nide, tokpa de choda chubari mato, nyamda chibada papa mare iso. Ane tokpa kanshi chega wayo na, nyamla mati le yang tokpa chiya yu mare isi. Oda rido.
So the reference to experiences here are those kinds of experiences that can arise out of shamatha, calm abiding, meditation, which it can happen that once the mind becomes very calm and concentrated, that there are experiences of bliss and joy that may arise. Experiences of very great clarity or experiences of non-conceptuality. And these are not actual realizations, but they and they can also include, like, say, feeling of maybe flying, like your body has become very light, or sometimes even clairvoyant or super knowledges can arise as a result. But these are experiences that are not actual realizations. However, they are signs of realization approaching. Just like if you saw smoke coming from over the hill, you would know that there's fire over there, even though you can't see it. You have a reason to believe. So the rising of these experiences are very, and the stronger they become, then it's more of it's a sign that realization is near. And in fact, without having such experiences arise in meditation, again, it's not possible to develop actual realization. So they're a step on the way to the realization, but the actual realizations of the insight into the nature of reality is especially exalted over any other kinds of meditative experiences.
Very good job, Samba.
Well, thank you.
Your head is bigger than your head is bigger than your house. Fear. I say you did a good job. Oh, like this. No?
Yeah. Now
That's
my head exploded.
Any 다 제바데 그바데 다 그바데를 치드 세블리 게 지니치세 제바웨 치드 사와미베 주바 깨지마 깨지 제바던 파스.
So one instant of unself-conscious conduct is superior to all the self-conscious virtuous conduct that there is.
단디나니 컨택트스가도 사와를 고고 있잖니 사와데 가레세게 치드 세블리 깨세야데라 나랑츠 디나니 르지고니 산사와다 나가고니 컨덴세 바시 텔레잔는다키 치드 세블리 깨 르지고니 컨덴세와다 르지고니 산사와다 나가고니 컨덴세 바 간르직 세와 이나 양시 세나야 디 르당 아니 그 르기가 개와텔라 아니 똥바니 그 양지심네 예탑네 그래서 뭐도 봐 예탑 송아이나 시드 세블 르기를 차기요 말이 시드 사와미블 르기를 양전으로 요리 한디나니 시드 사와미블 주바시야데 슈랑게 생고 은혜가 돈이 그 따와데 또서 차유나 Juma sene, Juma ke churange, cheat sene, ella sort of sigo you maris. Churanga, une ka Tony ka tawa to de waina, Tony ka tawa garang, topa cheat the litang ani ka kale jak the yura. Penangarang so, Mechi Jalan Rogona, such a Jimbachilan Rogona. Pagila Malhe part the Churanka Namdu George, any young man a Modaga Tonin Ro, Kale Kate Mambo Java in a young. Tell a Malhe part the Churanka Samjaka Marawa, Kale Tagarawa, Namdu Tiga Noyatang, any Modan and Royata Pagi Churanka Sajatela Malhe part the Chigarawa. The Karichi the Chiguri, the Salta Levichi the Chiguri. Saja Pagila Lip Tali Kapsa, any Jimbat so Goyasi Yumarawa. Rahi Kitel Drip Sarava. The knee in the Tani, the Karishaki Yurisitani, she the Sawa maybe Jubasiate, Tombanica Tawa. The Lasunka Yuri. Take a Tawa Tony, Churangan Mishini Baji Sonsoaina, Jubak Tony, Lutanganike, and a Mambo Shigo Yumare, Sumari.
So the self-conscious virtuous conduct as opposed to unself-conscious conduct, virtuous conduct here, refers to whether there is understanding of selflessness or not. Before there's a self-conscious. This is maybe not have all those connotations that we give it in English, but here we're having consciousness of the self as we do it. I am going to make these prostrations. I am making prostrations. So there's a sense of self in the conduct, in the action itself, and it's for the purpose of realizing non-self. So again, if we can contemplate, the absence of those three spheres, how there's no one making a prostration without the action of prostration, and so on, how all the three poles of the tripod of the action are necessary for the other ones, that none of them exist independently, and come to that understanding of the lack of self, absence of self in that conduct, whether it's physical conduct or verbal conduct. And Rinpoche, you can't pay chick soon, bro.
Lo.
So, for instance, so it's an idea of getting somewhere, arriving somewhere, and if we took the example of going to India, say I want to go to India, well, in the process of doing that, there'd be a lot of effort involved. Getting into vehicles, get to the airport, getting on planes, to fly to India, and all of this effort has to be put in. But then once you got there, then that'd be over. And we don't need any more of that effort that was required to get on the plane, to get in the car. So in a similar way, once non-self has been realized, then the steps of self-conscious kind of acts can be dispensed with. So we could say that once there's been that realization in the mind, then there wouldn't be so much necessity of making physical prostrations or verbal prayers. So in that way, once the destination is reached, then the vehicle is no longer necessary.
That's all. Any jubate. Sanzing tongo chinichi sepabe. Mupomiba. Kiamazon chebatampa.
And being without fixation on anything whatsoever is superior to all the material generosity that there is.
Dadeke Sanzing tongo se tandinani Sakila Ma Yundani Sanzing Sinita Mupo Chalata, Pamjota, Muda, Peshala Supa. The Nichi Katse Tongo in the Jimbatong security. Taya control and Chubase, Gendin Balanji Jab control and Chubase, Mang in the Jimbatang, Churanka Pesha the Junosina, Yaburawa, Chetape Yabura. Delicha, Chia made the Yayu, Supeta. Kaya made Churanga. Kaya me na jiang ma zongwa siya, kanya da de zongwa ji churang me de yaga yuri, jiang ma zongwa. Te kare tingi yuri si de zane, jibzu Milarepa, tambu churang te songda.
So, material generosity, meaning, no matter how much wealth we offered, that realization of selflessness goes beyond that. So I want to give an example from Milarepa's life.
Milarepa, ni nima chilan se gom jamne tapu na si yau de. Dan china chi mo se gom jali yau de. Kuma te yong, se kura nangla. Kuma yong ne, kuma ke Milarepa tapu na ne. Ta chala kuma jali tapsi se ne. Ni kuma ke ya ta ma ta ni se chala zan se. Ni Milarepa se gom jali yau de. Ni Milarepa ke te song. Nga ki nimo mani sane churang kin simo kaya ni ka mari. Ngala kaya me se ko ta ngala kaya yo mari ngala kaya me du chu kare ko ma ja ke si nga sane. Korang simo yo ro ko ma de simo yo de. Nge nimo kaya mani sane ngala kaya me si ta nge ta pho na de nimo nge kaya ni ka mano si. Ngala kaya ni ka mano churang kin sin ni ka mari si ta. Ini zane sosolo pamjor mewa ina. Tambochi juze seyate chetan tsaachin bori, jyota pamjor seyate hacha tsaachin bori de. Jyota pamjor tela tine, tambo sapad dongar, barda sungwa dongar, tama lan roli dongar, jyola tine dongar sundoa, tambo sa, pesha sa matablik dongar, sapad dongar. Barda sa tade ini te sungchob si matablik dongar. Tama te ini kumaka kondroli ta lan roli dongar. Sansing seyate la ti kangayo. Ta tele chang kaya me na churang ka tonggo jap tini songdoa sanse gu po tongji se kale se de ne churang kaya me ne churang ta namjor pa anda chi tupa me pa de se ne chama lu tang ya ju Milarepa de cha chawa ina ani ta te yashuri songgo yuri ta dodo de ri.
So one night there was a thief that came to Milarepa's cave. Milarepa was meditating there at night. And so Milarepa was aware that the thief had come in, and he says, "You're not going to be able to find at night what I can't find during the day." Because he had absolutely nothing in his cave, there. So he's telling the thief that there's nothing that he's going to, find, because there's nothing to find. And so in general, there's drawbacks to material wealth. You might think, oh, it's great, to get some material wealth together, but at first there's difficulty in accumulating it. The work that has to be done to gather it, and then there's the task of trying to keep it, trying to protect it, making sure that you don't lose it, and then finally there is the suffering of losing it, because you will lose it eventually. You won't be able to keep it forever, and so there's all this suffering involved with possessions, and more possessions, the more problems. So ideally, if we realize selflessness, no possessions, then that would be the best.
Ola so. Ta nga train lega text chi yuwa. Samba ani train nga chu chun sam tele jage. Ta train che bar dam babu chu chu si tela. Jage ngal train lega text train twatli. Me ani dunta jimal tin ding et twatli ning ins. And the tole jana ro chi sama.
So that completes this set of 10 especially exalted things, and I do have a little bit of work I need to get to, so we'll stop here today, and I won't have questions and answers today, but next week we can have questions and answers and discussion if anything you'd like to bring up.
Panden Zawe Lama Rinpoche Dagi Chiworo Peme Dinshola Kajin Chenbu Kone Jesone Kuson Tuki Ngoju Zetu So Sote Ramjan Kyamne Gyasu Chinlap Tan Denye Tendre Luwa Mebed Kebara Chime Cheye Lazo Ke Tsewa Ishe Chingchen Tindirepo Kekun Chinle Karke Kama Pe Kasu Donga Chazo Mengaj Ome Sewe Lamda Nyamto Ke Yunde Tsefa Geter Shaktes Kanki sangsum doje rangkam su lekwara tenje lungdo dambej. Chadu dusam gombe dude ye sarden gembe chinle tachin sho. Pande lame nambara tarbar la kichi samya longta mekesh. Chinze lekwara tongwe megu ki lame chinla semla juba sho. Kewa kundo yanda lama tang jime chuki pela longchuchi. Satan lamge yunde rabzo ne pade lame kohanyo to shu.
O glorious and precious root Guru, please take seat of lotus at my crown. Caring for me in your great kindness, please grant attainments of body, speech, and mind. Om Sati. May the blessings of infinite seas of our places of refuge, the force of the two truths' infallible interdependence, and especially the hosts of deities of immortal well-being, now rain down the magnificent splendor of their wisdom and power of longevity. The Lord of the dance of all victors, enlightened activity is Karmapa, your unquenchable thirst for the inner essence of his traditions, doctrines, of discourses, tantras, great seal, great perfection, and pith instructions, has brought the qualities of signs on the spiritual path, your experience and realization, to their full flowering. May your life be firm. May the wisdom mysteries of your body, speech, and mind be as perfectly firm as a Vajra's own immutable elements. May your gatherings of disciples who study and practice the sacred teachings of Scripture and realization by listening, contemplation, and meditation cover the earth. May your activity reach its ultimate consummation. May I never for an instant develop wrong views of the glorious Guru's life and deeds, but with devotion, seeing all they do as excellent, may the Guru's blessings enter my mind. In all my lives, may I never be parted from qualified Gurus, enjoy glory of Dharma, and by perfecting all qualities of the paths and stages, quickly attain the state of the glorious Guru.
Dachin simjin damje lo jusen do wada sinje labda sora chulamda do wada sinje labda sora lantumba se wada sinje labda sora bayi shi sun che wada sinje labda so daso namje chudam temba ye jedar samba ye yin do bada ne dong ki so bade jibe so nye wada shi wada sinje labda so hola so I need to jiche. Thank you, everyone. Any David, Jampa Tharchin churang ala gonda gomong ala kawaji tanshong ni kichachi shiyoyo.
Lotus.
Jambalak.
Lotus.
Laso any tende yin chamala tuchi nang tuji che chamani. Thank you, everyone. Happy Saturday, happy weekend day.